slower. Now this is the set 1 for spelling the red set. When you read a word like set, you read et, and then you put the beginning on, et, set, or when you became confident you would read it as et, set. But when your helper asks you to spell set, you say S-E-T. Now these are the letter names that you say when you say the alphabet. This is because a letter like S can be written two ways. It can either be the S that you met in set 1, or it can be the soft C that you met in set 7. Now the E sound has another way of writing it. In set 6 you learnt that EA also says E. So by saying E, you're sorting out which one you need. The T sound at the end of set has another way of writing it too. At the end of picked, it sounds as if there's a T sound, but it's spelt ED. So if you say T, you'll know which T sound you need. And this is a tricky word because the sounds are different. You just have to say the letter names when you spell it. So it's going to be O-N-E. Because there's another way of spelling one, which is the one when you've won a race, and that's W-O-N. Now when you ask your helper how to spell a word, your helper must just say the letter names O-N-E. You have to say the cards differently for spelling. For reading you said apple, a, and you must stop there for reading. But for spelling we add on apple, a, because that's the letter you write. It tells your hand what to write. You might write on your knee or on the table or on paper. So this one's going to be ball, B. Then you write a B. Cat, C. Dog, D. Egg, E. Fish, F. Gate, G. Hat, H. Igloo, I. Jug, J. King, K. Leg, L. Mouse, M. Net, N. Orange, O. Pig, P. Queen, Q. Rabbit, R. Sun, S. Table, T. Umbrella, U. Van, V. Windmill, W. Box, X. Yo-yo, Y. Zebra, Z. When you know the sounds quite well, your helper can ask you to put them into two piles. One pile with the sounds that you know, and then you can be tested. So for spelling, your helper takes one of the cards, turns it around so you can't see it, and says, how do you spell the P at the beginning of pig? And later on you could use other different P words like pie or pizza. What's at the beginning of pie and pizza? And you will write P. And this is set 2, the orange set, for spelling. When you use these cards for spelling, you have to say something different from when you're reading them. For reading, this was Amsterdam, A. Now when you're doing it for spelling, you say Amsterdam, A, and then you say A, because that is the letter that you write. So this one's going to be Amsterdam, A, and then you're going to write A, either on your knee or on some paper or on a board. The next one's going to be Barcelona, B, and then you write B. Next one is Concord, C, December, D, Edinburgh, E, February, F, God, G, Holland, H, India, I, January, J, Kenya, K, London, L, Monday, M, November, N, October, O, Poland, P, the Queen, Q, Russia, R, Saturday, S, Texas, T, the Underground, U, Venice, V, Wales, W, and then X-ray really has got the difficult sound, so that's just X, Yorkshire, Y, Zanzibar, Z. These are the yellow cards, the set 3 cards for spelling. When you read these cards, you say black bull and you stop there. But when you learn them for spelling, you say black bull and then you say BL, because those are the letters that you're going to be writing. So it's brush, BR. Now I'm not going to go over all these, because if you need to know the names of the letters, then you can go back to set 1 spelling and they'll be there for you to hear. Some you have to be very careful with, like spl. If you think of split, it's quite difficult to say, split. So some of them you have to be very careful with. This is set 4, the light green set for spelling. On the set 4 cards, the first 5 of them are the Flossie Zack letters, and you have 2 sounds on each card. Now they're called Flossie Zack letters because if you write her name down, the name helps you to remember which letters they are. So they're all consonants, so there's 2 F's, 2 L's, 2 S's, 2 Z's, and 2 K's, a C and a K. Now her words normally only have 1 vowel in them. Usually the vowel is a short vowel, and we'll be covering short vowels in set 5. So you have words like cliff and off and well and still and cross and miss and fizz and buzz and duck and luck. The last card in the top line is not a Flossie Zack letter. This one is insect, and it's always going to be spelled C-T, never K-T. So for spelling, you go down the card saying raft, ft, F-T. You carry on down the card like that, saying the name, the sound and the letters that you're going to be using. If you need to know the letter names, then you can go back to set 1 for spelling. This one at the bottom here gives people problems. So we'll say at the end of mended, the sound is going to be id. But you're still going to write ed. At the end of played, the sound is d. but you're still going to write ed. At the end of looked, it sounds as if it should be a T, but it's still going to be ed. We call these yesterday words because if you can put yesterday in front of them, usually the ending is ed. Of course, it may not be yesterday, it may be just a few minutes ago or a few seconds ago, but we put yesterday in front of them to help you. This is set 5 dark green cards for spelling. These are the short vowels and the long vowels. When you read them, you said apple a, egg e. Now when you spell them, you're going to say apple a, and the letter you write is a. So it's going to be egg e, and the letter you write is e. Igloo I, and the letter you write is I. So on. These are acorn A, and then you write an A. Equals E, and you write an E. So you say the letter names of the letters you're writing. Down here, these cards that test you, I've just said these ones at the top here, and the Y could be pyramid I, and you write a Y. Windy E, but you write a Y. Cycle I, but you write a Y. This is the set 6 card, the light blue card for spelling. When you read these cards, you say cake A. But when you spell them, you're going to say cake A line E. The line is where the consonant will go. Here it's a K. In a word like game, it would be an M. So it's cake A line E. Pete the athlete, E line E. 9 I line E. So you go all the way down these cards saying the letter name. So this is rain A I. If you're not sure of the names of these letters, then you can go to set 1 spelling where they are explained. This is the set 7 card, the dark blue card for spelling. When you said this soft C card for reading, you said s, s, s. When your helper asks you what the cycle to the city centre letters are for spelling, you say CY, CI, CE. This card with a soft G on it, you said J, J, J. When you spell it, you say GE, GI, GY. For reading, you said face, ace. Now for spelling, you're going to say face, ace, ACE. Mice, ice, ICE. So you carry on doing the whole of the card, saying the letter names after the sound. If you don't know what the letter names are, then you can refer to set 1 spelling and they'll tell you what the letter names are there. Now some of the long ones here are like O you great hippo and 8A EIGH. We find it's very useful to close your eyes or look up to the ceiling and imagine the letters on the ceiling. And then you have to say the letter names backwards, because we find that it's turned into pictures, and some of you are very good at remembering pictures. So for instance, if you were doing this one, look up and you'd say HGUO. You never write the letters backwards, you just say them backwards. This is set 8, the purple set of cards for spelling. When you said this card for reading, you said sh, sh, sh. But when your helper asks you, what are the letters for cat's eyes, you're going to say CI, TI and SI. For reading you said court or, but now you're going to say court or AUGH. receive E, E-I. Mountain, un, A-I-N. Now you've got to decide whether you're going to say mountain or mountain. It's up to you. This one with two on, you have to say them twice. So it's tractor, O-R, dollar, A-R. And you carry on down the sheet saying all the letter names. If you need to know the letter names, then you can go to set 1 for spelling. Long ones like this, ancient shunt and patient shunt, I often say the letters backwards because it helps you to remember them. So that you look up at the wall or you close your eyes and see them on the screen in your brain and you say the letter names backwards. So for this one it's going to be T, N, E, I, C. When you say them backwards, you're turning them into pictures, and sometimes your brain is better at learning pictures. Some of them, like magician, that's an easy one to remember because the base word is magic, and then you just put the word Ian on the end, so we call these the Ian words. So a magic Ian turns into a magician. One of the ways to learn how to spell a tricky word like because is to write one of the letters on each of one of these cards here, and then on the back you write the numbers from 1 to 7, so that if you've put them out in the right order, then the numbers 1 to 7 come up. Because there are 2 E's, you have to have 2 and 7 and 2 on those, but they'll come up as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 if you have them in the right order. Another way of learning how to spell because is to say words that begin with all the letters here. So in other words, big, is that the B? Elephants, can't is the C, always the A, use, U, S, small, and exits for the E. I prefer big elephants cry and upset small elephants, but it's up to you. Because it's a tricky word, we write it on a little card, and I don't always write on the shiny side of the card because it's easier to read on what we call the matte side of the card. And then because it's a useful word, we put it in our prison words, and then you can take it away and practice spelling it. Now we can use this method of initials quite a lot. It's quite useful. We had it in Oh You Great Hippo. Now this U here is a tricky one because of course the U is on the end of this word here. This is a bit of a joke. There's 2 ways of spelling U there. It's called a pun, which you'll see in my book. So this is Oh You Great Hippo, and this is Oh You Great Hairy Tiger. And then these which are tricky, dinosaurs go everywhere, and tigers come home. Another way of learning to spell and read these words is to write them out like this. Now this is a card cut from the side of the Archway cards, and they're quite useful to use with a dry marker pen, so that you can write the word and then cover it up. See if you can write it again. Have you got it correct? Yes, have another go. And that helps you to learn how to spell these difficult words. When you're learning one of the sounds on the cards, you can write it out in your book like this, in pen or pencil. Now I say to the student, we're learning OU saying ow, so every time you hear a word, the sound ow, you're going to write OU. And the first one, often I give clues because then you've got to make your brain work harder to think of the word. So I might say the opposite of in is, can you think of what the word would be? And they write out. And then you can test them to see whether they know all the other ones. How would you write shout? Do you know ing on the end of shouting? Do you know on the end of louder? Loudest? Do you know the E sound on the end of cloudy? When you've written the words, then you could write a sentence at the bottom containing some of those words, and you might draw a little picture down here for each word. If you need more work on a sound, I usually say, how many can you write in a minute? So that here we're practicing AR, which is a tricky one. And then at the end of the minute we count up the ones that we can read. Now this one here is not correctly written because there's a space there. It should go all the way over the top, so I'm not going to count that one. And then when we've written them out like that, I say, can you make the first one say park? what letters would you need for that? Now they might put the p and the k both at this end, but you have to explain that you have to have the sounds in order. So it has to be p, arc, then you go to arm, then star, and what would you put on the end of star? Do they know their plurals with the S is stars? Would they know that one? Started, do they know the ED? And then what would you put on the beginning of park to make spark? And then sparkle, we'll see whether they know the ul sound at the end of candle. And then sparkling, you'll teach them that you drop the silent E before you add the ing. Now I find some students have real difficulty knowing what to write. So I do quite a lot of work on that. I have pictures like this and I ask them to talk about the pictures, see how many seconds you can talk about them for. They can imagine somebody on the phone saying, "Can you tell me what's happening in the picture?" And you can tell them, pretend you're speaking over the phone. And then I have a little word book like this, and any words that are interesting that they might need again, we write in this little word book. Now there's an alphabet down here with little tabs, so you can open it very quickly. I write in it in pencil so that you can rub it out again afterwards. Tricky letters you can underline. And because you might think that answer begins with R, I put it on the R page as well. I put it there in brackets to show you that it's not quite on the right page, but at least you can find it very quickly. So this is for spelling at the front. At the back there are spare pages and you can use them for whatever you have difficulty with. Ideas for stories, good adjectives to describe things, good verbs. This is all covered in my book. But I find that some students need a lot of work on this sort of thing. You can try and write long words quite early on. So you find out how many syllables, for instance, a word like fantastic, 1, 2, 3 syllables, so that you need 4 lines. And you're going to write 1 syllable in each space. So fan, what are the letters in fan? F-A-N. You might have to say it 3 times to get the first sound, the middle sound, and the final sound. Tas. Now I always say how many letters there are, so I should say 3 letters for the middle one. Tick, 3 letters. Now you might be tempted to put a K on the end, but on the end of a long word there's usually just a C. It's very important that you learn the order of the alphabet. Here is an alphabet song where you can hear the letters very clearly. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. You practice putting out the alphabet until you can put it in alphabetical order like this in a rainbow shape in 1 minute and 10 seconds. Here, the helper has put out the alphabet in alphabetical order, and you're going to match them. I've chosen the little cards this time. You're going to match them like this. There's the K, and you carry on until you can match them all. Then I'm going to take the uppercase letters, and you can see if you can match those, and see whether exactly, are they the same or are they slightly different. Then you can make a rainbow shape in the capital letters, and match other capital letters, or you can match them with lowercase letters. There's lots of things you can do. Then when your student is looking in the other direction, you can remove one of the cards, and when they look back, they have to see which one you've removed. If they find that difficult, then you can go to the easier end, the F's and the G's and the D's. If they find that easy, then you can go to the difficult end, which is the U's and the V's and the W's. This time, can you look away and can you say the letters after the one I've chosen? So I'm going to choose O. What are the letters after O? P, Q, R, S. Or do you have to go back to the beginning of the alphabet and start to get to O? This time, when you look away, I'm going to choose one of the letters and you're going to say which letter is either side of that letter. This time I'm going to choose this one here, K, and you're going to say J and L. Because when you're opening the dictionary, you have to know which direction to go in. You may be more familiar with this wooden alphabet. where it's important to get the letters round the right way because they have the same surface on both sides. So that's the beginning of the alphabet. Can you see two letters that are round the wrong way? Yes. Yes. Also, they have different F's and different K's. Now Anne and I are going to show you a matching game where you're using the yellow card because it's clear again, but in fact you can use most of the other cards as well. I've cut out a set of the cards that match here. For younger children you might cut off the black lines and then they'll fit more easily onto the paper here. So what we're going to do is we're going to match the cards onto the larger card, and it'll be by the picture to begin with. So would you like to have a go with that, Anne?
Thank you.
Can you match this one to the one on the card? Well done. If there's any slight hesitation or worry, then you always overhelp. So for instance, this one would be, this one is near you. This one is on the fourth line down. Yes, that's 20. So you can tell them the picture and the words while they're doing this. And soon you'll be able to give them the pack of cards themselves, and then you'll be able to do it on your own. Well done. If you have a very nervous student, then you can always just have one of the A3 cards, which of course reduces it down to half the size. This is another matching game where you can put some of the cards out on the table, and then you can give the person the cards that match, and they have to either cover the cards or put the card next to them. There again, overhelp if they are getting worried about it. Well done. Well done, excellent. Well done. Soon you can put the whole set out in a rainbow shape, and then they can match the whole pack when they're getting confident. This is a similar game. I'm going to ask Anne to find the pictures that I'm mentioning. This is to introduce you to the pictures, which are the one part of the game that you have to know. So can you find the plane, Anne? Well done. Can you find the squirrel? Down and near me. Can you find the clock, which is up at the top? Well done. Later on, you'll be able to show the card covering up the picture to see if you can find that. Can you find that now? Well done, because now we're matching just the letters. This matching game needs some pairs, so you sort out some pairs from two sets the same and spread them out on the table like this, and then you have to try and match the pairs and say snap. So can you find a pair, Anne?
Snap.
And you take the cards away, and first of all you have to say what the picture is. If you're a new player, I'll tell you what the picture is. It was 20.
Yeah.
Soon you'll know the sounds and you'll have to say 20 before you can keep the cards.
Okay.
You can't play ordinary snap with these cards because you have to have 4 to play. 4 cards the same to play. Here again you're going to be doing some matching. This time we have turned the cards over. This time your turn to start, Anne. You turn over 2 cards, but we're going to leave them showing. Ordinary Pelmanism, you have to have 4 of each set, but we only have 2. So this time we're going to leave them showing. So if you'd like to turn them over. And whoever shouts snap first.
Okay.
I'll do 2. Oh, snap! So this one is either 2 shoes or shoe-sh. In this section there are games to improve your memory. This is called Kim's game, good old faithful. You put a few cards out on the tray. It might be cards that are quite difficult. You have 5 minutes to look at the cards and try and remember them all. And then you cover them with a towel or a cloth, or remove the tray from the room. And then you have to try and remember what was on the tray. It'll be quite difficult because the cards, of course, are all the same colour. This is a memory trick you can use with your friends. Anne is going to take one card away while I look away, and when I look back, hopefully I shall be able to tell her immediately which card she has removed. Let's see how this works, Anne. All right, I'm looking away now. You take a card. And I know it's brush bruh. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes. Now, shall I tell you the trick, Anne, why it is?
Mm.
The way I knew it was that so quickly. What I've done is I've categorised, I've put all these into similar categories. So here we have 3 animals. There are 3 animals.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see that all right?
Yeah.
These are 3 with sticks. You see sort of sticks. And these are 3 to do with a person. So if you take one of them away, I just have to quickly see if the 3 are there. This game is called Nines, and if you take the small cards, you can play this game in a waiting room or surgery where you're waiting to go in, because it fits onto a chair. What you do is you have a set of cards, perhaps they might be ones with difficult sounds on, and when you've had a good look at them and everyone's agreed that they've had a good look at them, then you just turn them over and you ask each other questions to see if you've remembered where the cards are. So perhaps it might be, where is the thing that you sweep the floor with? The answer would be brush. Oh, and it's spider. So there we are, you see, I'm not any good at that. I wouldn't have got that one right. And then if somebody gets it right, then they get a point. And then you can put it back. And you can make up little things to remind you. So the crab is in the middle there, and it's got a little fence around so that it can't bite anybody. So I'm remembering that that is where the crab is. Now this spider here is, perhaps it's scuttling out of the room because it doesn't want to be with the crab. So you can make up little sentences to help you remember where the pictures are. These activities will help you learn the sounds. A game for very young students is called Mr. S. Everybody in the group has a hat with a different letter on the front of it.